Hi everybody and welcome to ABG Investor Day. My name is Patrik Brattelius and I'm an equity analyst here at ABG. Today we have a full day ahead of us with a bunch of companies presenting. It's my pleasure to introduce the CEO of Kameo Sweden, Fredrik Kjellgren. He will be our first speaker today. Take it away, Fredrik.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Patrick. And I feel really good to be here today. So I'm really excited about this session. So I'm here today to talk about Kameo and what we do, why we do what we do, and how it works. I would also like to spend some time on discussing our performance to date, and specifically around our performance as Kameo as an investment alternative. And last but not least, I would like to share some insights from the market. So how are we at Kameo, and more importantly, how are our borrowers responding to the new market conditions that are out there? So that's the plan for today. So I hope you will find this session interesting. But let's get started. So Kameo, what do we do? So our concept is fairly simple. So we operate a platform and a community, enabling the pooling of small contributions of money from a group of people or companies who share a common interest in order to accomplish great things. So we empower everyone to really achieve their own financial goals. So that's what we do. And if we take this a little bit step further, so really what we do is that we match companies who has a financial need. They maybe need financing to build a project or to realize a growth in initiatives, with investors who like to invest in those companies or projects. And companies, they turn to us because we can offer a competitive financial solutions for their project or growth initiatives. And investors, they come to us because we can offer asset-backed loans with high expected returns. And this is really simple, and this is the model that we operate in. And this is how it looks like. So I'm not sure if you have seen this, been on Kameo before, but it's, if you as an investor would like to invest in loans, you will then go to our platform. You would choose which project you're interested in, and you would read the materials and the prospect for that loan. And if it's something that interests you, you will then choose to invest. So it's your choice as an investor what you would like to invest in. And we at Kameo, we put a lot of effort into what we do. And we do this because we truly believe that everyone, regardless if you have a big network or not, you should have the opportunity to invest in products that matters. So what we do in Kameo is really that we are opening up the financial markets, and specifically the private debt market, to more individuals. So that's what we do. So we are truly believe that this is something that should be available for everyone. That's the cause. So how does it work then? So we have been in the business since 2016. We provide financing solutions primarily to real estate projects. I would say close to 80 to 85% of the loans that we have facilitated during the last 6 years has been within the real estate sector. And as you can see on this slide, is typical projects that we fund. And to the left is a typical residential projects that we tend to fund. And these are normally a property developer that would like to build around 10 to 30 units with a funding need of between 20 to 100 million. Usually these projects are located in the major cities around Scandinavia, so that is Stockholm, Gothenburg, Malmö, Copenhagen, and Oslo. We also do a couple of industrial properties as well, as you can see in the middle. And these projects are also tend to be located around the major cities in the major cities in Scandinavia. We have also done a couple of holiday homes. They tend typically to be located around the major ski resorts in Sweden and Norway. And typically for all these projects is that interest rate for an investor spans between 7 to 10%, and with a maturity from 6 to 24 months. So that's the typical projects that we do. And our process, so not everyone, we will not publish every loan on the platform, quite opposite. So we spend a lot of time assessing every single case that we publish on the platform. And our credit process is really split into 3 key steps. And the first step is if someone comes to us, or if someone is recommending Kameo as a financial partner, we will meet them with them. And often we will visit their on-site to really understand the project. And if it's a good fit, both for us as Kameo, our investors, and also, of course, for the borrower, because it needs to be a good fit for both. And if we believe that this is a good fit, one of our credit analysts will take lead, and we spend roughly between 30 to 40 hours per case. And if we still believe that this is a good fit for us and our investors, we will then present this to our credit committee. And the credit committee consists both of internal people at Kameo, but also external experts that we bring in to really to ensure that we really can assess the risks and the opportunity in each of these projects. And if it's still a good case and it works, we will then publish it on our platform. And as you will see when you enter our site, we tend to divide project into tranches. And for us, this is a really important concept because we can therefore match the project phases with funding. And for us, this creates a great opportunity to control and mitigate risks. For instance, if you need 5 million to do groundwork for a project, we would like to see that the groundwork has been completed before releasing the subsequent tranche. And for the borrower, this is also good because it reduces the financial cost of the project. And for investors, this also creates an opportunity for you to invest in the phases where you feel most comfortable in. So for instance, if you're an investor that likes to be involved early with slightly higher interest rates and longer duration, then maybe the first tranches of a project is for you. But if you, on the other hand, is an investor that prefer to invest later in the stage of the project, where most of the houses, if the real estate project, has been built, then maybe the last tranches would be for you. So that's the way how we work within Kameo. And an important concept that we also run, and it goes through back to the purpose of why we do what we do, is that through Kameo you can invest from 500 kronor and upwards. So for us, this is really a way to reduce the barriers to build a well-diversified lending portfolio. And it also makes it easier for you as an investor to reinvest the interest proceeds that you get from the loans that we do. Also within Kameo, and here I think we are quite unique in the marketplace, is that every single loan that we do comes with a monthly coupon payment. So that means that if you invest in a loan, you will collect an interest payment every single month for that loan. And this chart that I present here illustrates what that looks like. So this is the number of interest payments for a typical month that we proceed within Kameo. And as you can see, more or less every single day we process an interest payment. So that means that if you invest in a portfolio of loans, it's likely that you will collect an interest payment more or less every single day via our platform. And the average investor today has invested in on average 15 loans. So that means every second day, the average investor would collect an interest payment. So this is a product that tends to appeal to those investors who likes passive income or like to invest in assets that yields a constant cash flow. Cool. So how has it gone? This is a key question, I think, if you would like to invest in a platform like ours. So Kameo was founded in 2014. We did the first loan in May 2016. And on this chart here, you can see the volume growth we have seen during the last 6 years. And as of today, we have facilitated loans for more than 2.6 billion kronor. And as you can also see on this chart is that the growth has really picked up during the last 3 years. And this is really my view on this is that we're starting to see that direct lending, which is what we do, you don't invest in Kameo, you lend money directly to a company, is starting to be seen as a normal way of funding your products, which is great, I think. From an investor point of view, we have the average return has been between 8 to 10% per year. And you can also see that the return has slightly decreased during the last 3 years. And that's really because as we have grown, we have been able to work with larger companies and larger projects. And the market rate for those projects tend to be slightly lower than for smaller projects with smaller developers or less experienced developers. So this is reflecting, I think, the growth journey that we at Kameo has been through. But I also think that this is really interesting to put this number in perspective. So what does between 8 to 10% actually mean? So on this slide here, I'll try to illustrate this. So what you can see here is the dark blue line is Kameo. So that is if you had invested constantly through our platform and receiving between 8 to 10%, this is where you would then have ending up with somewhere between the green and light blue lines, which is popular high yields funds, and the pink line, which is the OMX All Share Index. If you would have been a very conservative investor and invested in a money market fund, you would have been slightly worse off after 6 years. I think the money market funds are down to 2% as of today. So for me, this is also signals that investing in direct lending, so lend directly to a company, I think my personal view is that this should be part of a well-balanced investment portfolio. So in short, the track record we have seen since the start is investors have the average return on the loans we have provided on the platform has been 8.6% since the start after credit losses. We have published 626 loans with a total volume of 2.6 billion. Out of this 2.6 billion, 1.3 billion has been repaid. And out of these 626 loans, we have had 6 loans that has gone into default. And we only do asset-backed loans, which means that if a loan goes into default, we as Kameo will act as an agent on behalf of our investors and start realizing those assets. And for 4 out of these 6, investors have received 100% repayments, plus interest and plus penalty interest on top of that. And we have 2 loans, 2 Norwegian loans, totaling 4.3 million that we have confirmed as credit losses. So in total, the credit loss is less than 0.2% since the start of 2016. All right. Lastly, I would like also to take the opportunity here to talk a little bit of the market situation. So what happens when interest rates are rising, and also how are borrowers and property developers responding to new market conditions? And first of all, I think talking about interest rates, we at Kameo, we are operating in a quite competitive market. So we don't really determine what's a market rate. So in more or less every single case that we are evaluating, we are in competition with some other actors. And that can be credit institutions, it could be small and niche banks, and in some cases even large banks. So the interest rate we put on the loan reflects more or less what the market rate is for those loans. And now we're talking about real estate projects up to 150 million, less than a loan to value of 75%. So if the interest rate is going up in general, it's likely to also to anticipate that the interest rate on our loan will increase as well. But then we have, it's not just interest rate that is currently rising. We also see quite substantial material cost for materials as well, and some other disturbances, if you like to call it that. So we at Kameo, we spend a lot of time assessing new credit. As I said in the beginning, credit analysts spend at least 40 hours on a case. But I would say we spend even more time monitoring live loans in our live loan portfolio. And that is loans that we have published on the platform, but which has not yet been repaid. And as part of these dialogues, we have identified a couple of emergent risks or themes of risks that we see that we would like to share with you. And the first, which I think all of you is aware of, is inflation and surging material costs is for real. And this is important to know because that can really cause cost overruns and delays in projects. We also see that some of our developers find it difficult to obtain quotations. And more specifically, it's starting to become difficult to secure turnkey contracts. So that is important to know, especially if you're a smaller developer which lacks the competence to run products yourselves. We also see that supply chain starting to be challenging in some parts. Especially we have seen problems with heat pumps not being delivered on time, causing delays. So these are, I would say, new themes that have emerged during the last couple of months. But also, when we talk to our borrowers, they are very aware of these risks, and they are actively working towards mitigating those risks. So what we also see is emerging mitigation themes. We see that many of our borrowers have started to really enhance, to deepen their cooperation with selected contractors. So rather than using many contractors, what we now see is that many work with a couple, and really deepen that relationship as a consequence of, as a response to the new external environment. We also see that many of our borrowers are more open towards to using more sourcing alternatives. That could be, for instance, that in the past you could have been very close to a certain brand, but today that doesn't really matter as much. You're more open to use different products and different sourcing routes for your products. We also see that borrowers build stock and ensure that they have critical components on site before they actually start their production. And we see that fewer are accepting fixed-term contracts. And that's really because fixed-term contracts has become really expensive. So, which is understandable because The contract needs to absorb cost and uncertainty, but many developers now run these products in-house instead. And we also see that developers are planning for and using a higher contingency buffer, i.e. there are more flexibility in their budget for their project. And we as Kameo, of course, we're also monitoring this very hands-on. So for all new products, we will assess even more thoroughly the construction part in a case. So how is the contractor, how is the subcontractors look like, etc. And we will also like to see higher contingency buffer in any projects that we do. So I think I'm running out of time, but in short then, so Kameo, we are a leading Scandinavian lending platform for asset-backed loans. So we enable for everyone, so that is private and corporate investors, to lend money directly to companies. We believe that we can offer a good complement to your savings portfolio, and via Kameo you can invest from 500 kronor and then upwards. And if you find this interesting and you would like to get started, which I hope some of you would like, please visit Kameo.se and register an account and get started. So with that, I would really to say thank you for hosting this event, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Fredrik. So then I thought we could do some Q&A. So if I start off, on the platform, does your customer have access to an ISK, investment savings account, or how does the account setup look like?
That's a really good question. So unfortunately today in Sweden, direct lending is not supported by this ISK. And that has really to do with regulatory, that's the rules. So in Kameo today, you lend money directly to a company, but the rules today do not allow you to put that into a savings account, unfortunately.
Okay, and do you have any status update on when that could be accepted, or is that not even planned for by the regulators at this point?
No, it's not what we heard planned for, but it's of course something that we would like to see, because I think if you can invest in both crypto and everything else in put in a savings account, I think direct lending should definitely also be an asset class that you should be able to have in a savings account. But unfortunately not. That's the answer.
Okay. How does the Nordic market look in comparison to other markets when it comes to maturity? Is the Nordic market immature in that sense, and other markets has come further? What steps need to occur in the Nordic market to become a more common phenomenon?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So Sweden, Norway, and I would say most of the Scandinavian countries have traditionally been a big bank market. So in other parts of the world, especially in the UK, for instance, direct lending and alternative finance, if you like, it's much bigger. And now we're starting to see that this trend is also picking up in the Scandinavian countries. So we are a little bit behind other primarily European markets with regards to direct lending, but we see that the shift is happening. And I think the reason for that is both companies see that this really works. There's nothing strange to have an investor to lend money directly to you. And I think investors also see that this is an opportunity to get high-yielding products, really. So the short answer is we are a little bit behind, but the trend is working in our favor, I would say.
Okay, perfect. The time is running out, so I will stop here, and I would like to thank Fredrik for this presentation, and thank you so much for listening in.
Thank you.